You pet your cat every day, and she's been tolerating it, not enjoying it. That's not an assumption. That's what the body language has been saying for months. And the gap between what you think is working and what's actually landing, that gap is the entire relationship. There are 8 specific things that determine whether your cat genuinely trusts you or simply coexists with you. None of them cost anything. And there's one thing near the end of this that's going to completely reframe how you've been interpreting your cat's behavior. Stay with me. 1. The way your body moves through a room. Not what you do when you're with her. How you physically occupy space in her environment when you're not even thinking about her. Cats are somatic readers. They process the world through movement, pressure, and body geometry before they process sound or scent. The speed at which you move across a room, the sharpness of your turns, whether your arms swing wide or stay close, all of this is being read continuously, like a background process that never turns off. Wildlife handlers who work with large felids follow one absolute rule: never approach in a straight line, always arc. Never loom from above, descend to the animal's level. These principles didn't come from domesticated cats, they came from leopards and cougars in managed care facilities. But the underlying neural architecture is identical. When you walk directly toward your cat with your full height, moving at your normal pace with your attention locked on her, that approach pattern registers as predatory behavior. Not because you're dangerous, because the geometry matches. The practical version of this is surprisingly small. Move around her rather than toward her. When you want to be near her, come from the side, not the front. Sit down before you're close, not after. Let her line of sight land on you from a distance before you close the gap. These micro adjustments change what your body is saying without changing anything about your intention. And what your body says matters more than what you mean. 2. How you use eye contact. You've probably looked at your cat from across the room and had her hold your gaze for a few seconds before slowly blinking and looking away. Most people interpret that as indifference. It isn't. In the social language of felids, prolonged direct eye contact is a challenge. It's not aggressive necessarily, but it's assertive. It says, "I see you. I'm aware of you. I'm monitoring you." When a cat looks at you and then deliberately slow blinks, closing the eyes fully, pausing, reopening, it's doing something specific. It's communicating, "I'm not threatened and I'm not threatening. I can close my eyes in your presence." That is a significant statement from an animal that's simultaneously prey and predator. A study published in Scientific Reports in 2020 tested this directly. Researchers found that cats were significantly more likely to approach an unfamiliar human who responded to them with slow blinks than one who maintained a neutral gaze. The effect held even with strangers, meaning it's not purely a learned response between specific individuals. It appears to be something closer to a cross-species social signal. The next time your cat looks at you from anywhere in the room, try this. Don't hold the gaze. Don't look away sharply. Just slow blink once. Deliberately. Close, pause, open, then look slightly to the side. You're not performing, you're responding in the only language she was already using. Some cats answer immediately. Others take a few exchanges over several days before they start initiating the signal back toward you. 3. The scent geography of your home. This is one that almost no one thinks about consciously, even people who consider themselves very attuned to their cats. For a cat, scent isn't ambient background information. It's the primary medium through which space is mapped, relationships are tracked, and safety is evaluated. Her internal model of your home is built almost entirely out of smell data. Who has been where, when, and in what emotional state. Your scent on her preferred resting spots isn't neutral decoration. It's active information. When your smell is consistently present on the surfaces she chooses, the corner of the couch, the specific pillow she returns to, the blanket she's claimed, that presence signals predictability. You were here. You were calm. Nothing bad happened. Over time, that accumulated signal becomes a baseline association. This person's smell equals safety. You can make this more intentional without doing anything elaborate. A shirt you've worn for 2 or 3 days, placed on her sleeping spot before you leave for work, functions as a presence anchor. Not because she's confused about where you are, but because your olfactory signature maintains continuity in her environment when you're physically absent. Cats in households where this is done consistently tend to show lower stress indicators when owners return after longer absences. The environment didn't go cold while you were gone. It held your shape. There's a flip side to this worth knowing. New scents, particularly strong ones from outside the home, can temporarily disrupt her internal map when you return. You've walked through unfamiliar territory. You're carrying the smells of other places, other animals, other people. Giving her a moment to process your scent before initiating contact isn't cold behavior. It's allowing her olfactory system to confirm, yes, this is still the same person. That confirmation matters more than most people realize. What comes next is something that almost every well-meaning cat owner does wrong, and the mistake is built directly into how much they care. 4. How you respond when she walks away. She's on the couch. You sit down nearby. She gets up and relocates. What do you do? If the answer is anything other than nothing, you're reinforcing a pattern that gradually increases the distance between you. Following her after she's moved is understandable. It feels like connection. But what it communicates, in her language, is that her signal wasn't received. She indicated, "I'm adjusting the proximity." You responded by overriding the adjustment. Repeated enough times, that dynamic produces a cat who preemptively increases distance, not because she doesn't want to be near you, but because she's learned that proximity involves losing the ability to regulate it. Behavioral researchers describe feline attachment as exhibiting what they call approach avoidance flexibility, meaning cats need to feel that their decisions about closeness are genuinely operative, not just permitted in theory, but functional in practice. When those decisions are consistently overridden, even gently, the attachment system compensates by building in more buffer space as a default. The cat isn't becoming colder, she's becoming more careful. The counterintuitive move is to make the couch, or wherever she was, slightly more interesting after she leaves. Don't look at her new spot. Don't adjust your position toward her. Just stay where you are, relax, and let the original location hold its energy. Many cats return within 10 or 15 minutes when the pressure has been removed. That return is worth more than any amount of engineered contact. Drop a number in the comments right now, 1 through 10, rating how often your cat initiates contact with you versus you initiating with her. Just the number. I'm genuinely curious about the range. 5. The texture and temperature of what you give her to rest on. Kneading, the rhythmic paw-pressing motion you've definitely seen, is not a quirk. It's not random comfort behavior. It's a direct physiological echo of the first days of life, when pressing against a mother's body stimulated milk release. That motion is neurologically inseparable from warmth, fullness, and complete safety. It doesn't disappear when a cat grows up. It goes dormant and reactivates only when the nervous system reaches a sufficient depth of relaxation to unlock it. Which means when your adult cat needs, she's not being cute. She's arriving at a state most domestic cats don't reach very often, and the material underneath her is doing a specific kind of work to get her there. Loose knit fabrics, fleece, plush, soft wool. These textures have a give and warmth that approximates the resistance of another living body. Hard surfaces don't produce the same response. Smooth synthetics don't either. When she gravitates to a specific blanket or piece of clothing over and over, she's not being particular. She's following a very precise sensory signal that her body recognizes at a level below deliberate choice. The practical implication is simple but often gets ignored. Don't move the blanket she's chosen because it's in an inconvenient spot. Don't wash it so frequently that your scent and hers are erased from it. Don't replace it with something newer or more aesthetically pleasing. That object is functioning as a nervous system anchor. Some cats carry a corner of it in their mouths while kneading, a behavior almost exclusively seen in cats who were weaned before 8 weeks. It's not a problem to manage. It's a need finally being met. The only right response is to leave it exactly where it is. 6. The predictability of your emotional register. This one is subtle. And it's not about being happy around your cat or suppressing difficult emotions. It's about something more specific, the consistency of how your internal states express outwardly in her presence. Cats don't evaluate your mood. They track your mood's predictability. A person who is sometimes loud and sometimes quiet, but whose responses to the cat are consistent regardless of the general emotional weather, generates far less ambient anxiety than someone whose baseline reads as calm, but whose reactions to the cat are variable and hard to anticipate. The first person is interpretable. The second one requires constant monitoring. Research on cat behavior in households with varying human stress levels has found something interesting. Cats spend measurably more time in proximity to lower cortisol household members, even when those members' observable behavior is similar to higher stress members. The body leaks stress before the conscious mind registers it. Shoulder tension, jaw position, breath rate, the microspeed of hand movements. These channels carry information that bypasses your awareness entirely. Her awareness catches it all. This isn't a prescription to manage your emotions for your cat's benefit. It's simply useful to know that she's reading a layer of you that you don't consciously control, and that layer is more informative to her than anything you do deliberately. 7. What happens in the first 90 seconds after you come home? You open the door. She's there, or she isn't. Either way, something is happening that most people handle wrong. Not maliciously, just without knowing what the moment actually is. Your return is a re-entry event. You've been outside her environment for hours. You've been exposed to foreign scents, unfamiliar sounds, different temperatures, other animals, other people. You're carrying all of that back into her space. Before she can settle back into baseline comfort, she needs to complete an internal process, confirm identity, assess current state, update threat model. This takes a short time, and it needs to happen without interference. If you come in and immediately call her name, pick her up, or begin moving quickly through the house, you're interrupting that process at the exact moment it's most needed. You've returned, but she hasn't finished confirming that the thing that returned is safe. The result is a cat who experiences your homecoming as a low-grade disruption rather than a relief. The adjustment is minor. Come in, set things down, say something quietly, one sentence, your normal tone, just to put your voice in the air. Then move slowly and let her come to the scent of you. Most cats complete their re-identification process within 2 or 3 minutes when it's allowed to happen naturally. And a cat who's finished that process is a different animal from one who's been interrupted midway through it. She's warmer, she's more likely to initiate contact. She's actually relieved your home rather than simply processing the fact of your presence. 8. The quality of your stillness. This is the last one, and it's the only one that requires nothing from you at all, except the willingness to stop doing something. There is a specific quality of human presence that cats find completely irresistible. Not engagement, not play, not affection. Stillness, genuine stillness. Not the performed stillness of someone waiting for something to happen, but the actual stillness of a person who has nowhere to be and nothing to want. Cats are extraordinarily sensitive to intentionality in other bodies. When you're in a room with your cat and your phone is in your hand, your attention is partially distributed elsewhere. Your body is still, but it's holding a low hum of directed engagement. She reads that as occupied presence. You're there, but not fully. When you're watching something loud, the room fills with unpredictable stimulation. She tolerates it, but when you're genuinely still, doing nothing, wanting nothing, going nowhere, something in her threat detection system softens at a level that nothing else reliably produces. In that state, she makes decisions you don't control. She crosses the room on her own timetable. She settles somewhere close without acknowledging the distance she just closed. Sometimes she faces the same direction you're facing, which researchers have noted as a distinctive behavior that cats show almost exclusively toward individuals they've identified as their primary safe attachment figure. She's not performing. She's not seeking anything. She's just choosing to be near the one thing in her environment that currently feels most like rest. That is the relationship at its deepest level. Not the games, not the treats, not the expensive beds. The moment when a creature who could go anywhere in the room walks across all of it just to be near you while you're doing absolutely nothing. Now here's what I promised to address at the start. The myth that explains why most people never get to that moment, even after years with the same cat. The most common explanation people give for distance between themselves and their cat is personality. She's just independent. He was always like that. Some cats just aren't affectionate. It sounds like a fact. It gets repeated constantly, and it is almost always wrong. What's actually happening in the vast majority of cases is not a personality trait. It's an accumulated adaptation. Cats who appear cold or unreachable are almost never born that way. They become that way through a specific set of environmental conditions. Contact that was imposed rather than offered. Space that was taken rather than given. Rhythms that were unpredictable rather than steady. Hiding spots that were eliminated rather than preserved. The withdrawal isn't character, it's learned caution, and learned caution is reversible. The research on this is consistent across multiple studies. Cats identified as aloof or standoffish in their home environments showed significant behavioral shifts, increased proximity seeking, more voluntary contact, higher incidence of social vocalizations, when the interaction patterns of their primary humans were modified according to the principles of feline-led contact. Not all at once, over days and weeks, but they changed, because they were never cold. They were protecting themselves from a set of conditions that no longer existed once the human behavior shifted. Your cat is not out of reach. The distance is a message. And now you speak enough of the language to understand what it's saying. If this landed somewhere real for you, if you're thinking about your cat differently than you were 10 minutes ago, subscribe. There's more here. Specific, research-grounded, and built for people who actually want to understand the animals they live with. And before you go, what's one thing on this list that you realize your cat has been signaling for a long time and you're only now reading it correctly? One thing. Write it in the comments. Someone else watching this needs to see your answer more than you know.